The notice displayed on the Brynation subreddit states that the online community has been banned for repeatedly violating Reddit's moderator code of conduct. I want to bring in an expert here, Joseph Giacalone, a former NYPD sergeant, to talk more about this. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Good morning, Josh. Thanks for having me.
So first off, your thoughts on even knowing that something called Brynation exists?
Yeah, no, I'm not shocked by that. I mean, and this is not the only thing. There's plenty of groups on social media out there in full support of Bryan Kohberger. Remember that he's just, accused right now. He hasn't been convicted, but this is not unusual. We've seen this a lot, actually, even with serial killers and you name it.
Do you think he would have had any idea that these groups existed? How does that work when you're in jail? Are you able to be informed of things like this? Do you get sent fan mail, so to speak?
Well, certainly they get fan mail. They can get probably email now and everything else that they have to do it. I mean, we know that there's a lot of changes in the correction system that allows access to the outside world for prisoners. So I wouldn't be, shocked by this. There's a dating site that you can, get yourself hooked up with one of these people from online. I mean, we saw this happen. Ted Bundy married a witness in the courtroom. Charles Manson nearly got married. I think he died before it happened, but they had the wedding certificate all ready to go. I mean, you name it. Richard Ramirez, right, the Night Stalker. I mean, this is not this is not unusual, and I think you'll see marriage proposals coming through as this case gets closer and closer to the time.
What is it that leads somebody to do that? Is it even possible to figure out why somebody would want to do that? Why he would have groupies and supporters and people possibly proposing marriage at some point?
Well, I mean, I think you look at it as probably most of the people there are there as like what I refer to as like defense attorneys, right? So they're trying to prove that he didn't do it, just like you have the groups on the other side of it trying to prove that he did do it. So I don't see anything wrong with that. The issue that comes down to is that he may be this charismatic figure to certain people that forms this attraction or this bond that they think they have, and that's not unusual. I mean, we've seen it with other killers where they've had this charisma or this kind of aura about them that attracts people. It's probably a psychological thing that probably somebody in that field could probably answer a lot better than I do, but it's not unusual to see this.
And Brynation has now been shut down there on Reddit. We're still waiting on a little bit more information about that, how it was shut down, whether it will be brought back up. Do you think there are other groups that are just like this that are supporting Kohberger, not just on Reddit, but I guess Facebook, Instagram? I don't know, you can't really do groups on Instagram, but are there other groups that exist supporting him?
Yes, there is. There's at least one other group that I have found on Facebook, but it is a locked group, right? So you have to apply to get in, and I guess maybe they'll go through your profile and see who you are to see if they will let you in or not. I mean, like I said, unless they're saying, we're going to try to break this guy out of jail and stuff like that, I really don't see an issue where a group of people can get together and talk about the case. I mean, that's part of social media, right? Being able to find a niche or something that you're interested in and then, discuss it or talk about it.
And we also learned, I believe it was about a week ago, that Kohberger apparently had photos of at least one of the victims on him or on his phone. What are your thoughts on that? Does that show any sign of guilt or anything of that nature?
Well, it depends on when those photos showed up, right? So if these photos, they can prove that they were before the murders, then yes, it's a big deal. If it happens after the murders, it's really nothing that you can think about, right? So lack of a better pun, right? A nothing burger kind of thing. The issue that you're dealing with here is the timing of it all, right? So when is it time stamped and dated? Because listen, as Josh, many of us were following this case very closely in social media, and people, took screenshots of the house and the people involved because they wanted to see, who they were talking about or what they were doing or where the location was. They were trying to figure things out. So I don't think that would have been unusual if it happens after the fact, and I don't think they'll be able to do anything about that.
And just from your experience, the preliminary hearing is going to be in a few months here. I believe it's July. It's expected to last for a week. Any idea what we can expect during that time, if there could be new details released or anything of that nature?
Well, more than likely, they're going to have to come forward. When you have these preliminary hearings, as you know, they talk about a different thing. So, for instance, I'm sure, I don't know what they call it in Idaho, but we call it a map hearing, right? Where it's basically about how the evidence was secured, was it done properly, or the fruits of the poisonous tree, and all those things are going to come in. Of course, the defense attorney is going to fight tooth and nail to try to have this evidence, make it inadmissible for court. And that's where these cases really lie in regards to these preliminary hearings. So if there was any interrogation, any of those, if there was eyewitness identification rights, we still don't know so much because of the gag orders. So anything that comes really out on any of this is just pure speculation. And I think once this thing starts, they're not going to be able, unless they ban the media from the courtrooms, this information will be out in the public.
Yeah, and it's a lot of questions at this point that we still don't necessarily have the answers to, including, what investigators believe the possible motive for these crimes could be. Is it possible we could learn more about a motive during that hearing?
We might, but like, for instance, out of all the evidence that has been talked about, the thing that really sticks with me is, was there evidence found in his car, right? We haven't heard anything if there was any blood recovered or anything like that. We do know that there were hair fibers and an animal fiber taken from his apartment, so that could be potentially huge too. But for me, it's that car that really could put him in a bad way, or put his defense team in a bad situation.
All right, Joseph Giacalone, former NYPD sergeant, a friend of the show, here to always answer questions and provide insight. Anything else you want to add about all of this before I let you go?
No, I think people just need to be patient, especially the true crime community. I mean, there are so many gag orders out there that this information will come out, and I think being patient will be prudent in this, instead of wild speculation and, conspiracy theories and stuff. That's not really helpful.
And one last question, just based on your experience, is it possible that this could go to trial sooner rather than later as a result of so much public, speculation and people just paying such close attention to it? Does that lead to a trial that comes along quicker?
Well, it could, right? But here's two things that will hold that up, right? So if they try to change the venue, or if they can't find enough jurors to sit on the case, and that's going to be probably the most difficult part of this, to try to find 12 people and a few alternates that have, really no kind of opinion on this case, and that's going to be the tough part.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and provide that insight.
Have a great day.
You too.